Hello, it's Willie from the Ozarks and ready for our November 25th lesson in A Course in Miracles workbook for students. We're reading out of the original edition and we're ready for lesson 329. I have already chosen what you will. I have already chosen what you will. And the prayer says, Father, I thought I wandered from your will, defied it, broke its laws, and interposed a second will more powerful than yours. Yet what I am in truth is but your will, extended and extending. This am I, and this will never change. As you are one, so am I one with you. And this I chose in my creation, where my will became forever one with yours. That choice was made for all eternity. It cannot change and be in opposition to itself. Father, my will is yours, and I am safe, untroubled and serene, in endless joy, because it is your will that it be so. And then the write-up says, today we will accept our union with each other and our source. Today we will accept our union with each other and our source. That reminds me of the two commandments that fulfill all the commandments. Love God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. So here he's saying, today we accept our union with each other and our source. We have no will apart from his, and all of us are one because his will is shared by all of us. Through it, we recognize that we are one. Through it, we find our way at last to God. I have already chosen what you will. All right, let's go to our text reading for today. And we're ready for, in chapter 9, the correction of error. And section 9, the decision to forget. And I'm thinking that our sprouts on our broccoli, as you're turning there, let me talk to you a minute about our sprouts. The broccoli sprouts, they just don't seem to be viable. So they've been, we've been about 10 days and we still haven't got any sprouts. And they would have sprouted usually in about 5 days. So I'll keep them going in the house for another 3 or 4 days just to be sure. But I think that they are not going to make it. If that changes, I'll let you know. So I started some new sprouts today. And I got some buckwheat sprouts. And I've got quite a few more in here. I put about a half a cup of buckwheat sprout, or probably about a cup actually, of buckwheat sprouts. You don't sprout them as long. They tend to get bitter, is what I'm understanding. And I got these from my friend Jerry when he made his crossing. He had a whole jar of these, or a whole can. Looks like about I don't know how much that is, 5 pounds. And it's from, let's see, these are buckwheat sprouts, buckwheat seeds from handypantry.com out of Springville, Utah. And look what it says about these buckwheat sprouts. Now, they suggest sprouting them in dirt. But I found out you can also sprout them, and you can get them a lot longer and turn them green that way. I think that when you sprout them in a jar, the way that I'm going to do it, you probably don't want to get them quite as long before you put them in the refrigerator because they tend to get bitter, like I said. But look what it says about in this little write-up from Handy Pantry. It says that, let's see, where are they? Buckwheat sprouts, rich in protein, iron, calcium, phosphorus, vitamin B complex, vitamin E, and large amounts of rutin and bioflavonoids. What are rutins and bioflavonoids? Well, they answer that question. Rutic acid has a powerful beneficial effect on the arteries and circulatory system. Bioflavonoids work with vitamin C to help detox the body and build the immune system. So, my friend Jerry was all about eating lots of healthy foods. So, matter of fact, I learned a lot from him through the years. Okay, The decision to forget. Of course, I'll soak these I'll probably soak them till this evening, and then I'll drain them and just rinse them twice a day. Okay, the decision to forget. Unless you know something, you cannot... Oh boy, just a minute there. The wind just blew that over. So let me readjust here. Sorry about that. The wind's really blowing strong today. So we'll try to get this so that doesn't happen again. There we go. All right, let's start over here. Unless you know something, you cannot dissociate it. Knowledge, therefore, precedes dissociation, and dissociation is nothing more than a decision to forget. What has been forgotten, then, appears to be fearful, but only because the dissociation was an attack on truth. You are fearful because you have forgotten, and you have replaced your knowledge by an awareness of dreams because you are afraid of your dissociation, not of what you have dissociated. Even in this world's therapy, when dissociated material is accepted, it ceases to be fearful, for the laws of mind always hold. 69. Yet to give up the dissociation of reality brings more than merely lack of fear. In this decision lie joy and peace and the glory of creation. Offer the Holy Spirit only your will to remember, for He retains the knowledge of God and of yourself for you, waiting for your acceptance. Give up gladly everything that would stand in the way of your remembering, for God is in your memory, and His voice will tell you that you are part of Him when you are willing to remember Him and know your own reality again. Let nothing in this world delay your remembering of Him, for in this remembering is the knowledge of yourself. Let nothing in this world delay your remembering of God, for in your remembering of God is your knowledge of yourself. Wow, it just reminds me of what Paramahansa Yogananda used to say, is that when you're going and you're on the path of self-realization, don't let any of the beautiful vistas that you see in your march towards self, towards the true knowledge of who you are, don't let that allure you away from your job of knowing the self. And here's why. Let nothing in this world delay your remembering of Him, for in this remembering is the knowledge of yourself. 70. To remember is merely to restore to your mind what is already there. You do not make what you remember, you merely accept again what has been... You do not make what you remember, you merely accept again what has been made but was rejected. The ability to accept truth in this world is the perceptual counterpart of creating in the kingdom. Let's read that again. The ability to accept truth in this world is the perceptual counterpart of creating in the kingdom of heaven, in the kingdom of God. God will do His part if you will do yours, and His return in exchange for yours is the exchange of knowledge for perception. Nothing is beyond His will for you, but signify your will to remember Him, and behold, He will give you everything but for the asking. How's He going to give you everything but for the asking? But signify your will to remember Him, and behold, He will give you everything before the asking. Wow. Well, that kind of reminds me of our lesson for today. I've already chosen what you will. Paragraph 71. When you attack, you are denying yourself. When you attack, so when you attack someone in mind or with words or actions, when you attack, you're denying yourself. You are specifically teaching yourself that you are not what you are. Your denial of reality precludes the acceptance of God's gift because you have accepted something else in its place. If you understand that the misuse of defenses always constitutes an attack on truth, and truth is God, you will realize why this is always fearful. Again, if you understand that the misuse of defenses always constitutes an attack on truth, and truth is God, you will realize why this is always fearful. If you further recognize that you are part of God, you will understand why it is that you always attack yourself first. 72. All attack is self-attack. It cannot be anything else. Arising from your own decision not to be what you are, it is an attack on your identification. Attack is thus the way in which your identification is lost, because when you attack, you must have forgotten what you are. And if your reality is God's, when you attack, you're not remembering Him. This is not because He is gone, but because you are This is not because He is gone, but because you are willing actively not to remember Him. Wow. And there's a footnote about that particular paragraph. Paragraph 72 does not appear in the original edition manuscript. Previously numbered as paragraph 71A, the content was restored in the 2009 revision from an earlier manuscript. Starting with the 2012 revision, paragraph 72 through the end of chapter 9 have been numbered. So there's a little bit of some editing notes there. I figured it might be good if I read it to you. 73. If you realize the complete havoc this has made of your peace of mind, not the editing. Let's read that last little bit again. All attack is self-attack. It cannot be anything else. Arising from your own decision not to be what you are, it is an attack on your identification. Attack is thus the way in which your identification is lost, because when you attack, you must have forgotten what you are. And if your reality is God's, when you attack, you're not remembering Him. This is not because He is gone, but because you are willing actively not to remember Him. That's why we want to remove all propensity or desires to attack. We don't want to use that in any way. There is a useful use for it for defense, but not a useful use for attack. Okay? You can always defend the truth by siding with what's true. Okay, 73. If you realize the complete havoc this makes of your peace of mind, you could not make such an insane decision. You make it only because you still believe that it can get you something you want. And that's our mistake, to think that attack would get us something that we want. It follows then that you want something other than peace of mind. But you have not considered what it must be. Yet the logical outcome of your decision is perfectly clear if you will look at it. By deciding against your reality, you have made yourself vigilant against God and His kingdom. And it is this vigilance that makes you afraid to remember Him. You have not attacked God, and you do love Him. Can you change your reality? No one can will to destroy himself. When you think you are attacking yourself, it is a sure sign that you hate what you think you are. And this and only this can be attacked by you. What you think you are can be hateful, And what this strange image makes you do can be very destructive. Yet the destruction is no more real than the image, although those who make idols do worship them. The idols are nothing, but their worshipers are the sons of God in sickness. Wow. Okay, let us stop there, and let me mark that for tomorrow. And let's go back and take a look at what is creation. What is creation? Which is under the lesson 329. I have already chosen what you will. What is creation? Creation is the sum of all God's thoughts, in number infinite and everywhere without all limit. Only love creates, and only like itself. There was no time when all that it created was not there, nor will there be a time when anything that it created suffers any change. Forever and forever are God's thoughts exactly as they were, and as they are, unchanged through time, and after time is done. God's thoughts are given all the power that their own Creator has, for He would add to love by its extension. Thus His Son shares in creation, and must therefore share in power to create. What God has willed to be forever one will still be one when time is over, and will not be changed throughout the course of time, remaining as it was before the thought of time began. Creation is the opposite of all illusions, for creation is the truth. Creation is the Holy Son of God, for in creation is His will complete in every aspect, making every part container of the whole. Its oneness is forever guaranteed and inviolate, forever held within His holy will, beyond all possibility of harm, of separation, imperfection, and of any spot upon its sinlessness. We are creation, we the sons of God. We seem to be discreet and unaware of our eternal unity with Him, yet back of all our doubts, past all our fears, there still is certainty. For love remains with all its thoughts, its sureness being theirs. God's memory is in our holy minds, which know their oneness and their unity with their Creator. Let our function be only to let this memory return, only to let God's will be done on earth, only to be restored to sanity, and to be but as God created us. Our Father calls to us. We hear His voice, and we forgive creation in the name of its Creator, holiness itself, whose holiness His own creation shares, whose holiness is still a part of us. All right, lesson 329. I have already chosen what you will. And the prayer says, Father, I thought I wandered from your will, defied it, broke its laws, and interposed a second will more powerful than yours. Yet what I am, in truth, is but your will, extended and extending. Yet what I am in truth is but your will, extended and extending. We're the will of God, extended and extending. This am I, and this will never change. As you are one, talking to God, as you are one, so am I one with you. And this I choose in my creation, where my will became forever one with yours. That the choice was made for all eternity. It cannot change and be in opposition to itself. Father, my will is yours, and I am safe, untroubled and serene, in endless joy, because it is your will that it be so. Are you experiencing your endless joy, or are you dreaming that you are not a part of your endless joy? Well, wake up then. Wake up. Wake up to your joy. I've already chosen what you will, is our lesson today. Today we will accept our union with each other and our source. We have no will apart from His, and all of us are one because His will is shared by all of us. Through it we recognize that we are one. Through it we find our way at last to God. Let's read that again. Today we accept our union with each other and our source. We have no will apart from His. We have no will apart from God's. And all of us are one because His will is shared by all of us. Isn't that a nice thought? God's will is shared by everyone. That's why you can find yourself in your brothers and sisters. Through it, through God's shared will, we recognize that we are one. Through it, we find our way at last to God. All right, so today, I've already chosen what you will. Step back and let God do all the driving. Recognize that you or me, I've already chosen what you will. Let's find that holy will, the self. Let's have our self-realization experience. I have already chosen what you will.